I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I don't really like reading. Hey everyone, so in this video, I'm going to be covering 7 books that have been truly life-changing for me. I wouldn't consider these the best or the most informative books out there, but these are the books that have been the most influential in developing the person that I am today. Also, if you have any book recommendations, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll gladly check each of them out. Now, addressing the first thing that I said, yes, it is true that I don't really enjoy reading that much, but Avery, you've read like 24 books so far this year. How could you not like reading? Well, funny you should ask. The truth is, I'm stoic. Just kidding, just kidding. The real truth is, I enjoy learning more than I don't enjoy reading. Basically, I'm willing to put up with reading a book if I know that I can learn something meaningful from it, which is why most, if not all of the books on this list are related to personal development or nonfiction. With that out of the way, let's dive into life-changing book number 1. So this first book on the list was one of the first self-improvement books that I've ever read, and since then I've read it like twice. And that book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Covey. If you're looking for a place to start if you want to be a better you, I definitely start with this book. It's kind of like a map to get you to where and who you want to be in the future. Starting with discovering your habits and principles, then moving on to improving yourself first, and then finally how you can improve your relationships to others and the world around you. It's the ultimate starting guide for building your self-esteem, learning to prioritize, and being successful. Honestly, this was such an amazing book to read the first and the second time, and I might either read it a third time or pick up The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People to read. Honestly, just an amazing book. Alright, so book number 2 is definitely for all you Gen Zs out there, even though the title of this book is Broke Millennial by Erin Lowry. So before reading this, I had little to no knowledge about personal finance at all. I didn't know what a stock or the stock market was, how to invest or save my money, what an index fund or an ETF was, and many other things related to finance. Reading Broke Millennial definitely helped me understand what all these terms meant, and I explored different options for saving, investing, and just managing my money. This book definitely helped me to learn all about personal finances, but there is one little caveat for a Canadian like myself. This book was written in the context of the USA, so there were terms like a Roth IRA that were used, which aren't used in Canada. Just a heads up, because you might have to do some translation to find the equivalent in whatever country you live in. Nonetheless, it definitely helped to change my outlook on finances, and I definitely recommend it if you're just getting into them. So the next book on the list is Digital Minimalism by Newport, which single-handedly inspired me to reduce the time I spent on my phone by almost 60%. Digital minimalism challenged me to go an extended period of time, around 2 to 4 weeks, without using many of the apps and social media that many of us use today. And what I discovered about myself was really surprising. After about 2.5 weeks of not using these platforms, the time I spent on my phone got cut down from around 2.5 hours each day to just about an hour each day now. Nowadays, I rarely feel the need to pull my phone out of my pocket when I'm idling, which has made me feel much more connected to the present moment and the world around me. Definitely a must-read in our modern, heavily digital world. So book number 4 is probably the most information-dense book that I've read on this list, but that's exactly what I love about it, and that book is The Productivity Project by Chris Bailey. And judging by the title, I think you may already be intrigued. Most, if not all of us, want to get the most amount done in the shortest amount of time, but many of us fail to realize that we may not be performing at our optimal level. The Productivity Project explains how we got to this unproductive state, displays different concepts of how to be more productive, and how to apply these practices into your work life. The most important thing that I took away from this book was that in order to be productive, you can't just manage your time. You also have to manage your energy and your attention as well. Lose any of these three fundamental pillars and your productivity will tank to the ground. Since then, I've applied many of the concepts mentioned in the book in my student life, like single tasking and the rule of 3. It's definitely worth a read if you're trying to be the most productive version of yourself. This next book definitely helped me to overcome much of my social anxiety, and that is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you're a person who struggles with conversationalism like myself, I definitely give this book a read. One thing that I never realized before reading this book was that socialization is a skill, which means you can work to get better at it. There were so many unexpected tips that I was super eager to apply in my daily conversations. For example, if you want to get someone to do something small for you, make sure you ask them. Don't demand. After applying many of these concepts into my daily interactions with other human beings, I can definitely say that I am much more confident when conversing with others now compared to my socially awkward self a couple of years ago. So, book number 6 on the list was probably the most in-your-face, this is what's wrong with you book that I've read, and that was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a by Mark Manson. And boy, did this change my perspective on life. This book really challenged me with my values and my outlook on life. Going off some of the notes that I took, some of the most important concepts that I took away from it include the following. First, happiness comes from solving problems, not from not having any. Second, you are not special. Third, it may not be your fault, but it's always your responsibility. And fourth, you are going to die inevitably. I know, quite unconventional, right? But it was just the wake-up call that I needed for me to get off my ass and actually do something with my life to improve it. Because, like Manson said, people only become exceptional because they realize that they aren't. It's a great book. I highly recommend it for those who feel kind of stuck in life. This last book is kind of a wild card because as of filming this video, I'm still reading the book, but I felt I needed to include it because I've just learned so much from it. And that book is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. This book has been the ultimate demystifier of sleep. It has shown scientifically what sleep's role is in our life, the amazing benefits of sleep, what happens when we don't sleep, and other things like sleep stages and what happens when we dream. And although I personally get around 8 hours of sleep every night, I know that 95% of the people that I know get less than 7 hours of sleep each night. And even just an hour less of sleep each night can bring detrimental consequences to your physical and your mental health. Case in point, please get some sleep. It's not worth sacrificing your well-being for the status symbol of I'm functioning off of 3 hours of sleep. It's just not worth it. And that about covers it. Keep in mind that I've read so many other books as well, and I'm always on the lookout for more books to read in the future. If you have any book recommendations, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to check them out. As always, gently tap the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.